What if I told you that the most powerful attack in One Piece hides a secret that's been buried for 38 years, an attack that literally means expelling a god, and that Roger used for the very first time against IMU himself at God Valley? Chapter 1162 finally revealed the missing piece, and now everything makes sense. Kaido's line about Haki conquering the world, the reason Roger was unbeatable even without any devil fruit, and especially why Shanks inherited this very attack from his captain. So if you want to understand all of this and more, stay with me, because that's exactly what I'm about to show you. Imagine a man who conquered everything in this world: wealth, fame, and power. A man who ruled the seas without any Akuma no Mi, facing monsters with fruits capable of destroying entire islands, causing earthquakes, and even splitting the heavens. That man is Gol D Roger, and there exists an attack that defines his entire legend, a strike that literally means the departure of a god, Kamusari. But here's the problem that's been bothering me. During the God Valley flashback, Roger has been kind of sidelined. We saw Gol D cutting through mountains and even storming into Imu's chamber. We saw Garp throwing punches like nuclear bombs. We saw Whitebeard and Kaido displaying their devastating powers. But Roger seemed more interested in parties and treasures than anything else. That raised a question no one could really answer. How did this guy become the Pirate King? Because let's be clear, we're not talking about just any character. We're talking about the only man that Kaido, the strongest creature in the world, used as an example when he said that Haki transcends everything. We're talking about the pirate even, Whitebeard recognized as his rival. The man who carried only a sword and his will, yet achieved what no one else ever could. And chapter 1162 finally started to unravel this mystery. What's being revealed is far greater and deeper than any of us could have imagined. Because the truth is, we're about to witness not only the birth of Kamusari, but Roger's transformation from an ordinary pirate into an absolute legend. And here's the point many people haven't realized. This flashback isn't about Roger, it's about Gol D. Oda is deliberately keeping Roger in the background because his true transformation hasn't happened yet. At this point in history, Roger is still a laid-back pirate, living typical adventures in pursuit of treasure and fun. He hasn't yet awakened to something greater. And it is exactly in God Valley that everything is about to change. Chapter 1162 brought something truly fascinating: IMU possessing Saturn's body. And when Roger senses that sinister Haki, he openly admits that he still has much to learn about the world. This is the crucial moment, the turning point in Roger's story. He's about to discover that there is something far greater than treasures and adventures. There is a hidden truth that governs the entire world. And this is where Kamusari comes in. The name of this attack comes from the Kojiki, an ancient Japanese chronicle from over 1300 years ago that records myths and legends. Kamusari literally means the departure or withdrawal of a god, the moment when a deity leaves the place it once inhabited. And look how interesting this is. In chapter 1162, IMU abandoned his own dwelling to possess Saturn's body. The connection couldn't be clearer. When Kaido said back in Wano that Roger had no devil fruit yet subdued the entire world, he wasn't speaking by chance. Kaido had just received his dragon fruit in God Valley. He was thrilled by its power, but later came to the conclusion that the fruit alone wasn't enough, that Haki was the supreme power. And notice he wasn't referring to Gol D, even though Zebek was his captain and incredibly strong. Kaido mentioned Roger specifically. That means Kaido witnessed something that completely changed his perception of strength. I believe what he saw was Roger unleashing an absurd amount of Haki to neutralize IMU himself. And I'm not talking about ordinary Haki, I'm talking about the same level that Joy Boy displayed in Egghead, when he forced the Gorosei to retreat back to Mary Jawai's. That same willpower that had been sealed for 800 years within the ancient weapon Emeth, yet was still capable of causing pain even to IMU. What makes this even more intriguing is that we recently saw Scopper Gaban, Roger's left hand, defeat one of the Holy Knights in a very specific way. He didn't just cut summers, he stopped his regeneration. And here lies the crucial detail. This ability to nullify the immortality of the Holy Knights and the Gorosei apparently comes from a special kind of Hakis that attacks the opponent's very soul. Gaban fought in God Valley, Rayleigh fought in God Valley, and Roger was there too. It's highly likely that they learned this technique precisely by observing how to fight against these immortal beings. And if Gaban can do this now, imagine what Roger was capable of at the peak of his power. But something even deeper is happening here. When Gol D sees IMU possessing Saturn, he says something truly revealing: this is the world itself. And he's not speaking metaphorically. And IMU is not just a ruler, he is the literal personification of the world's order, the embodiment of the power that governs everything. And this becomes even more fascinating when we go back to Kaido's statement that Roger conquered the world using only his Haki. In other words, Roger defeated IMU using nothing but his immense Haki. Perhaps Kaido was actually referring to IMU when he said that line. And if Roger truly uses Kamusari for the first time here, then the name of the attack takes on an entirely new meaning. Kamusari, or divine departure, isn't just a poetic name, it's literal. Roger will force IMU to leave Saturn's body and return to Meiji. He will interrupt the possession using an overwhelming surge of Conqueror's Haki, the same way we're seeing it happen now in Elbaf, where Luffy may have to do the same against Gunko, who is also possessed by IMU. But there's yet another layer to all of this. Kamusari isn't just a powerful attack, it symbolizes the fight against self-proclaimed gods, the celestial dragons. That's why Shanks uses the same technique. He didn't learn it directly from Roger. According to Oda himself, confirmed in an SBS session, Shanks learned it simply by observing Roger from afar, and yet no one else in the crew was ever able to replicate it. That not only shows Shanks' incredible talent, but also how this attack holds a special meaning for those who carry the will to defy the false gods of the world. The parallel with what's happening in Elbaf is striking. There we have 3 holy knights wreaking havoc, and Gunko has been possessed by IMU, just like Saturn was at God Valley. If Luffy manages to use a Haki on the same level as Joy Boy to interrupt that possession, he'll be repeating exactly what Roger did 38 years ago. History is repeating itself, but this time, it's the new bearer of the will of D, facing the same ancient enemy. This also explains why Roger is considered so special, even without a devil fruit. It's not just about having powerful Haki, it's about using it in a way that transcends the ordinary. It's about being able to strike directly at the soul of his enemies, to nullify powers that seem absolute, to force even immortal entities to retreat. That is the true power that conquers the seas. And there's one detail most people haven't noticed. This might have been the moment when Roger realized the true purpose of his journey. He saw IMU, the world's hidden ruler. He witnessed the massacre of God Valley, and saw firsthand how the world government operates from the shadows. Connecting that with what he had already seen in Lodestar Island 39 years earlier, everything began to make sense. It was no longer about treasures and adventures, it became about uncovering the truth buried during the Void Century. This was Roger's true awakening, the turning point that explains who he became afterward. The Roger who left God Valley was no longer the carefree pirate who had entered. He now carried a greater purpose, a mission. And Kamusari is the symbol of that transformation, the exact moment when Roger truly awakens to his role in history. That's why I believe the climax of the God Valley incident will be Roger unleashing this power for the very first time. Rox D. Zebek, Whitebeard, and Kaido will be battling IMU, who has possessed Saturn's body, and at some point, Roger will intervene, not necessarily to save the celestial dragons as the official story claims, but to prevent something far worse from happening. And when he releases that Kamusari, everyone present will understand that a new era has been born. The very name of the attack carries a profound duality. In Japanese, Kamusari can be interpreted both as the departure of a god and to avoid a god. It's at once an act of banishing divinity and of rejecting false divine authority. Roger is literally rejecting the order established by the so-called gods, the celestial dragons, and IMU. And this ties perfectly into One Piece's central theme, freedom. Roger never wanted to conquer the world in the sense of ruling it. He wanted to be free, to live his adventures without the invisible chains that IMU and the world government placed upon humanity. Looking at all this, it's clear that Oda is building something truly epic. He intentionally kept Roger in the background throughout this entire flashback in order to reveal his true greatness at the perfect moment. And when that moment finally arrives, when Roger unleashes Kamusari for the first time and sends IMU back to Meiji, everyone will finally understand why he is considered the Pirate King, even without a devil fruit. Because in the end, as Kaido himself said, Haki transcends everything, and Roger mastered that power in a way that few ever could. He discovered how to use Haki not only to strike the body, but to touch the very essence, the soul of his opponents. He learned to nullify even the immortality granted by IMU, and above all, he realized that true power doesn't come from supernatural abilities or devil fruits. It comes from the strength of one's will and ambition. That's what makes Roger a legend. It's not just raw power. It's the courage to confront the world itself when necessary, and the determination to seek the truth no matter the cost. Kamusari is the crystallization of all of that, a single, devastating strike that literally makes gods retreat. And now, 38 years later, we see history repeating itself in Elbaf. Luffy is about to face the same challenge that Roger once did. And if he manages to use his Joy Boy level Haki to stop IMU's possession of Gunko, he will take one more step toward becoming not just the Pirate King, but the true liberator of the world, the one who will finally bring down the order established by the false gods. And well, we're finally approaching the peak of Roger's story in this God Valley flashback. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I'd really appreciate your like. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any new videos like this one. You'll always get amazing new theories that will make you see One Piece in a completely different way. So thank you so much for watching until the end, and see you in the next one.